Hello world, boyfriend back with another pickup video. Let's just get this one started right away. I am fighting the Los Angeles heat right now. It is super hot. But yeah, let's get going. So as you can see, I'm wearing a shirt here. It says, I had my birthday at Quarters Arcade. What's Quarters Arcade? Well, my friend Sam, who, if you didn't know, I'm actually from Wisconsin originally. I live in LA now. Originally from Wisconsin. My friend Sam owns a store in Wisconsin, a retro game store, and also an arcade attached to that. And I did not, in fact, celebrate my birthday at Quarters Arcade, but I did stop by. He hooked me up with some great stuff, and he gave me this free shirt, which you never turn down a free shirt, especially one that says I had my birthday at Quarters Arcade. So thank you, Sam. But let's get into what Sam got me. So Sam, wow. This guy hooked me up. I'm looking around the store, and he just kept sweetening the deal. He basically, without getting into prices, this guy, let's get out the magic box, he hooked me up big time. This was a great deal. So I got, for the first time ever, I've never owned one of these, a Nintendo 64. The classic model, and for free, he threw in the expansion pack. So normally those go for what, like 30 bucks? They went for $0 that day. Not only that, I got a controller with it, of course, and then I got some games. So basically what he said was, if you get the 64, I'll throw in 3 common games from the common rack for free. So I was like, oh, all right. So I start looking through, and I pulled out, whoa, WCW Nitro, little wrestling action. And then I got WWF No Mercy, which is probably the best wrestling game of the Attitude Era. Right here, if you've never played it, amazing. So I got those 2, and I was struggling finding a third one that wasn't a Madden or NBA or something like that. And he said, I'll tell you what, here, we'll make this your third game. 007 GoldenEye. Now, that is a friggin' hookup right there. And I think the reason he threw it in, it's kind of scuffed up. It's got some marker on it. What does this say? I can't even read that. It says Trent on the back. So Trent, wherever you are in the world, thank you. I now own your GoldenEye. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then the last game I got at his store was, and also I'd never played this, brand new, or I'd never played it for the first time. What am I saying? Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. So, here's the thing. Never been a big Castlevania fan. And I was hoping Symphony of the Night would change my mind. I've played through it. I've beaten it. I got like 199%. So I didn't get like the full, what is it, 200.6% or whatever. But I got pretty close. And I gotta say, it didn't change my mind. I didn't like it that much. Now, whoa, 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 settle down before the hate begins. There were certain things I liked. I love collecting. A collect-a-thon, this is the game for you, because there's a million things to collect. But I didn't like, and certain RPGs or, you know, Metroidvania games, what happens is, you'll get a new weapon, and then 2 minutes later, you'll find another weapon that immediately replaces it, and then renders that last weapon obsolete, you know? And then you find like 100 of these throughout the game, and I don't like that. That's too many weapons that I'm just carrying around that I never use, you know? What else? You know, they call it, this is the first of like the Metroidvania games. Well, I call it Circlevania, because all you're doing is running around in a circle in this castle, and I'm a big fan of platformers. There's not a lot of like platforming going on in this, compared to the original Castlevanias where, I mean, that was some tight platforming you had to do. And this, yeah, you're jumping and around and stuff, but there's no, you don't really need any platforming skills to play this game. So that kind of bugged me. And then, yeah, like I said, you're just running around in a circle around this castle, trying to fill in all the map stuff, and I don't know. I don't want to go off on a whole Symphony of the Night tirade, but I'm 50-50 on it. I enjoyed it. Oh, and the bosses. Way too easy. I thought the bosses, there was no challenge there at all. There was no pattern to learn. I mean, if you had enough health and enough like life recharging stuff, you would beat the boss lickety-split, no problem. So, anyway, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Thank you, Sam. And that was all I got from Sam. I also picked up another N64 controller, because you can't just have one. You gotta have two, so I can play all those two-player games, like those wrestling games, and GoldenEye, which I got. So, I got another controller picked up. And then, a good buddy of mine, Matt, who goes by Mega Matt on YouTube. I've mentioned him before. He's part of that Arcade Impossible crew. Well, he was getting rid of some of his games, and he hooked me up, and I'll get to those in a second. But as a bonus, he threw in, I had no idea, he threw this in. It's a plug and play. I believe is this the Namco one, which is amazing. It's got Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, Pole Position, Xevious, and Mappy, which, what a great selection of old games. These things are really fantastic for the old arcade games. I really love it. So thank you, Matt, for that. And we'll get into the games that I got from Matt in just a moment. So now, one more thing before I get to the games is for my birthday, which was still a while back, but it came a little late, from my buddy Neil, he got me this, Armada by Ernest Cline. Now, I don't know if you guys are going to know who Ernest Cline is. Some of you might, some of you might not, but he wrote the book Ready Player One, which is amazing, highly recommended if you've never read it. And this is his follow-up book, his second novel, and that's Armada. I haven't got to dive into it yet. I'm still finishing up my other book, but I'm really excited to read this. I had a blast, absolute blast with Ready Player One. I read it in like 3 days. I don't think I've ever read a book that fast. And so this is the new one. So thank you, Neil. I thought this would be a nice, cool thing to show. Totally video game related. And it's a book, and reading is good, right? Stay in school, kids, don't do drugs. So, let's get to the Super Nintendo games. That's all I got left, bunch of Super Nintendo games. Went on a Super Nintendo binge. Where do I start? Okay, so, first and foremost, WCW, Super Brawl Wrestling. You know, this isn't actually a bad game. A lot of the 16-bit era wrestling games aren't that good. This one wasn't that bad, and I love the roster on this. The roster is absolutely fantastic. I mean, we're talking, you know, classic Sting, not the Crow face paint, but classic Sting, Flair, Vader, Ron Simmons, who you might know as Farouk, Flying Brian Pillman. Who else was on there? Oh, it was just an amazing roster. Anyway, if you get a chance, check it out. Fun game. A couple more real-time strategy simulation games, but uncommon. You don't see them very often. The first one of which is War 2410. So, you know, the artwork and everything makes this game look so much more fun than it actually is. It's actually not that fun. It's total real-time strategy war type game. Just not for me. Don't get into it. I've mentioned it before. Don't get into it. And its sequel, War 3010. Does it have a subtitle? The Revolution. Well, this was no revolution in terms of gameplay. It's just as boring as the game that preceded it. So if that's your thing, go ahead. Not my thing. I got it because I'm a collector. And that's why I wanted it. So, this is one of the games I got from Matt. One of two games. And this is Zardion. Is that how I say it? Zardion? It starts with an X. It is kind of a mech platformer game, not too dissimilar from, say, Cybernator or Metal Warriors, but pretty crappy. The controls are just all over the place. It looks great. I like the design and everything, but yeah, the controls are just broken, which makes it not very fun. So I can't really recommend Zardion. And then The Simpsons, Bart's Nightmare. This one is the first of the, I think there's 4 Simpson games on the Super Nintendo, and this is the first one I own. There's also Itchy and Scratchy, Krusty's Playhouse, and then Virtual Bart. But this is the first one, so I got 3 more Simpsons games to go. BB's Kids. I don't even know how to classify this. I guess it's a beat-em-up, but I couldn't, not that I tried real hard, I couldn't get past the first screen, and I couldn't even kill anyone. There was 2 people. There was like a clown and like a security guard CIA agent looking guy on it. I've never seen what this is based on. I don't know if it's a movie. I think it's a movie. Anyway, I'm beating up this security guard guy I must have hit him 100 times and he never died. And that was when I was like, nope, done with this game. So, and then this was the second game I got from Mega Matt, and that is Marvel Superheroes in War of the Gems, which is actually a pretty fun little game. Not the greatest. It was actually highlighted in a recent Cygnus Destroyer, LJN Defender, whatever you want to call him, episode. So I will put a link to that. Watch that, which is a great overview of this game, which is kind of a, what would you call it? Platformer beat 'em up, I guess. And then I got Secret of Evermore. This is one game I've been looking out for a long time. Finally got it. I guess, what is this? The spiritual successor or preceder to Secret of Mana. I don't know. I never really got into Secret of Mana, but this is similar to that. If you've ever played it, they just did it on the Cartridge Club. I believe it. What was it? The July game. So if you want to hear more about Secret Evermore, go check out that Cartridge Brothers podcast. And then, the creme de la creme. So, where do I start? First one, let's do this one. It's in a little case here. Been looking for this one for a while, and this one is going up in price. If you find it, pick it up now, because it is getting expensive, and that is Final Fight 2! Woo! It's funny, I feel like I'm going in backwards order of collecting these. I have Final Fight 3, Final Fight 2. I actually don't have Final Fight 1, which is like the easiest one to find. And I don't have Final Fight Guy either, which that'll probably take a while to get. But Final Fight 2, finally picked that one up. Excited for that. Last two. So, this one. I got a little story for this one. Captain Commando. Nice little beat 'em up on the Super Nintendo. Pretty fun. I like it's got 2-player, which I can't say for Final Fight 2, but yeah, fun little game. So, the story behind Captain Commando. I'm back in Wisconsin, making the rounds, checking out any retro game stores I can. I go to this one, and I'll spare the names because this isn't a very flattering story, but I go into this retro game store. I'm looking. Their selection isn't great. They got some stuff, but I notice Captain Commando sitting in the case. And for the sake of prices, we're going to have to talk about prices here for the story. So it's labeled at $65. And not bad for Captain Commando. Captain Commando's really been trending up lately, so it's probably closer to 90 to 100. So 65 isn't bad. More than I want to pay. Way more than I want to pay. So I'm looking at the case. The guy sees me looking at the case. He says, hey, if there's anything you're looking at in there, feel free to shoot me an offer. I love haggling. I was like, oh, perfect. Nicely done. So I go, Captain Commando. He looks at it and he goes, well, make me an offer. I go, $40. He goes, 55. I go, 50, we'll call it a day. Give me 50, we'll call it a day. It's a great price for Captain Commando, $50. He goes, let me check really quick. Hold on one second. I go, check what? What are you talking about? Yes was on the tip of his tongue. In front of me. He sits down, pulls up the computer, turns the screen towards me, pulls up eBay to check eBay prices. Immediately he recognizes, oh, Captain Commando isn't selling for these low prices anymore. This is, it's even marked wrong. At 65, I should be selling it for way more. And you see his face just go like, oh, and he's like, I can't do $50. And I said, well, you just said 55 before that. Does that offer still stand? Because I'll take it. He goes, no. Yeah, I can only do what it's marked at 65. I went, really? And he goes, and then he's got the ball to say this. He's like, yeah, and if you don't get it right now, the second you walk out that door, I'm upping the price. Can you believe that? Well, I had to take it for 65 because it's just not a game you see very often. Way more than I wanted to pay. But I own Captain Commando. What do you think? Was that worth it? Was that stupid? Who does that, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that story. And finally, last but not least, kind of a bigger one to check off the old Super Nintendo list. Been looking for this for a while. Randomly found it for a great price, actually. And that is Pocky and Rocky. So this is kind of referred to as a cute 'em up. It's kind of a shoot 'em up, but you get to kind of walk around freely. Very fun game. If you ever get a chance to play it, check it out. I really dig it. Good two-player action too, which is always a plus on like shoot 'em ups, beat 'em ups and stuff. They're always really fun two-player. But yeah, Pocky and Rocky, and that is all I got for pickups. Not so bad. That was nice and easy. I will be making another pickup video right now because I was going to do this in this pickup video, but I decided to just do a whole separate pickup video for this. And I'll give you a little preview right now. Yeah, this is going to be the next pickup video. So, stay tuned for that. And until next time, boyfriend out.